So the role of leaders around managing competence in their school or their learning centre is really challenging, and it can be quite a burden, particularly with resourcing. Are the changes going to have any impact in that space, and how will they be kind of communicated with leaders in that space?
I'll just start by framing competence matters are assessed against the standard.
It is, yeah.
And of course, conduct matters assessed against the code. So this is an area where it can be really difficult for those that are trying to build capability within a or number of standards within the school environment or the early childhood centre. That's the right place for it to happen, first and foremost. The council gets involved, the law kind of says, if there's been a competency concern being worked on and the teacher resigns or leaves the school, then we must receive that metric report, and it's kind of the glue in the system for competence. As soon as the teacher's re-employed back somewhere else, then that matter is handed back to that new school. What used to happen is it would be handed back to the school in the sense the teacher's now employed there, we make sure that they pick up the competence matter, but we didn't give them a whole lot of information about what had happened.
Right.
And so again, it's the similar kind of things. We want to make sure that everyone has the right amount of information, that we're sharing the job of, particularly in this space, it's rehabilitative. It's how do we build this area of the standards. And I use relationships as a good example. Most of us have got a time where we can think, I just didn't really connect with that person. It was really difficult. All my strategies kind of failed me, and I'm really struggling in the space at the moment. And so we do want to make sure that it's being dealt with in the right place. Now, for me, one of my concerns here was that teachers were kind of exited from the profession inadvertently if there was a competence concern. And that's not right. We all have times when we've got to focus on a particular area to develop further. And I absolutely stand true that the best place for that to happen is in the school environment or in the centre. So the changes that we're making there are not nearly as far-reaching, but we are making sure that we are taking the view to ensure that we have consistency in conditions.
Right.
And that's training rather than the law. We're making sure that the competence authority has access to things like the professional leader being able to come, if it ends up at the authority, to have a conversation and talk about what might be needed. Again, there are a few small handful of cases where the teacher isn't able to continue in the profession, but it's really rare. And so competence, really just bringing those things about mana. How do we make sure that we're building capability, that we're taking that view of building into the future and supporting? And sometimes a move of environment for that teacher is the change that's needed.
That catalyst.
It's not that they don't focus on that thing, and that's why we want to be more involved and make sure we're handing back and there's clarity that they can meet the standards and have pride back in that in their profession. So not as much happening in the competence space in the sense of the law and the rules, but those changes of tikanga
around delivery still under the same ethos and philosophy in terms of approach.
Absolutely.